Hi guys, and welcome back to Maltbox, the non-chill filtered whiskey blog. I'm Andy and this is Whiskey Review 130. Now the whiskey that I have for you today is an Ireland whiskey. Alright, it's not Islay, it's not Arran, it's not Orkney, it's Malt. And it's represented by this. The Ledaig 10-year-old. And this is one that I've been meaning to review for a while. It's been sat on my shelf for ages. I thought, you know what? When better to open this and share it with you guys now, because it's cold. I'm recording this on, well, it's the end of November 2020. And it's a clear night here in Lancashire, really clear. The moon's out, the stars are out. I can see, I think it's Jupiter and Saturn are aligned at the moment, which is very, very rare indeed. So that's nice to see. However, it is freezing. It's so cold. So I'm moving towards my richer styles of whiskey on the shelves, and this is no exception. So, Ledaig isn't a distillery. This is distilled at Tobermory. This is the heavily peated spirit run at Tobermory Distillery. I do have a Tobermory 12-year-old just behind the camera that I will be opening and reviewing at some point. However, I've had the Ledaig 10 open for a little while, and it's one that I've been wanting to review for a little while anyway. So, this is bottled at 46.3%. Now, if you recall the Deanston reviews that I've done in the past, as well as a couple of the other Distel portfolio whiskies that I reviewed, they do 46.3% across the range, including the new Three Ships 12-year-old from South Africa, which I'm really excited to share with you as well. So this is no exception, bottled at 46.3%. It is non-chill filtered because it tells me right there on the side of the label. Now, it doesn't go as far as to tell me whether it's got added colouring, whether it's natural colour. However, a bit of research online indicates that it is. However, this does appear to be a bit darker than the pictures of the ones that I found. I'll get my head out of the way. So whether they've changed that, I don't know. That's the kind of thing that you need to put on the bottle, guys, if you are watching. Just simple, just no added colour. It's a good thing. Sell it. So, Ledaig in Gaelic means safe haven. Do I speak Gaelic? No, it's on the back of the box. Do you know what isn't on the back of the box? Whether it's natural colour. So, again, going back to what I was saying, this is the heavily peated whiskey that they produce at Tobermory Distillery. I've been kind of gravitating to more Islay alternatives recently because, well, I've got an absolute shed ton of Coleela because, to be honest with you guys, Coleela is probably my favourite Islay distillery. It just is. There's such good quality. You know, there's such a wide range of it available. It's affordable. I like Kilhome and I love all of them in their own way. They're all my children. But, you know, I mean, ultimately, I've kind of moved away from Islay a little bit because I've been kind of seeing the same kind of things coming out from distilleries and prices are higher than they used to be. And, you know, whereas you've got things like this that kind of sit in the background. And, you know, it's got a bit of a cult following in a way. And I know a couple of people in particular that are big fans, as am I. It's there to be, you know, drunk, but people just always automatically go for your Arbegs or your Bowmores and Coleelas and things. So, onto the colour there, a nice kind of pale copper, pale bronze. Some pretty slow forming legs there, a nice band around the glass there if you can see, but the really small, really tiny legs starting to form and run down the glass, which to me indicates a nice oily spirit, but let's see. So, I'll be honest, I don't know the ppm that this has been peated to, but ultimately it is a heavily peated release. You've got to remember, guys, as well, that once it's been distilled, ppm pretty much means nothing anyway. Particularly when it's been sat in a cask for years, because you can put 50 ppm through the front, it's not going to be 50 ppm when it comes out. It's just a number. It's just a number. So, on the nose. Oh yeah. Ledaig used to have a bit of a, I won't say a bad reputation, but their original official bottling, there was no age statement, and a 10-year-old actually, a little further down the line. Going back a few years now, it was a pretty basic bottle. It had a white label on it. It didn't get very good reviews and people weren't very positive about it as a rule. This, what they've done is they've basically completely ripped it up and started again. This isn't a new product, by the way. This isn't new. This has been around for a few years. But what I'm getting here is an incredibly core Ledaig character, and that for me is industrial. It is, it's dirty. All right, it's dirty. It's filthy. It's industrial. It's oily. It's just like, it's kind of astringent. You've got this lovely smoke. It's coal smoke though for me, but it's a lovely minerally kind of coal smoke. It's like a coastal town basically. Imagine you've got a load of fishing boats tied up at the harbour that are running diesel engines. You've got diesel fumes. You've got Land Rovers driving past with dodgy exhausts. That's what this is. But you've got, again, that lovely salinity to it. There's a sweetness, there's a little bit of ginger, a little bit of sort of maybe caramel in there as well. There is an iodine element, just like its Islay brothers and sisters, but it's not as prevalent. It's got this core dirty character to it. And don't get me wrong, when I say the word dirty and things, it makes it sound horrible. It's not, it is lovely. I love that kind of thing. Just something really grungy. Do you know what I mean? It's kind of nose that I could sit here with forever, but I'm not going to bore you. There's a tiny touch of vanilla, possibly some lemon oil or orange oil, a bit of citrus. Again, all about those oils. It smells just thick. It's intense. It's charming. It's comforting. It reminds me of being in Cornwall, to be honest with you, in the small villages around Cornwall, the small fishing villages. There's a nice sweetness at the back now as well, possibly Biscoff biscuits, Lotus Biscoff biscuits. I personally don't like them, they're too sweet. However, my mum is a big fan, so always had those in the house growing up. Really, really lovely. What I've not mentioned, this generally retails between £35 to £40. I think I picked this up for about £39 recently, so pretty much full RRP. But it's a bottle that I've not had for a while. I've got a lot of independent bottlings of Ledaig. I say a lot, I've got 4. It's not massive, is it? But you know, I don't really have too many official bottlings apart from the new current ones, the official core line. I've got the 10 and I've got a bottle of the 18 stashed away that I've not opened yet. And my wife doesn't know about. So I will be getting onto those. On the palate, good mouthfeel, and then straight away you've got again this lovely, it kind of dips. Initially it gives you a hint that it's going to be sweet, and it is going towards the finish. Don't get me wrong, it's incredibly sweet going towards the finish, in fact. But you've got this little, you reach the precipice and then you just drop down back into that kind of earthy, industrially minerally-ness. I'm not saying that I've ever eaten coal, all right? You know, maybe I have one day, I don't know. I'm not sure. Maybe after a few drums. But you do still have that kind of smoky coal element to it. Being sat too close to a coal fire, particularly when you're getting it started and it's just starting to smoulder and you get a mouthful and you get a little bit of firelighter flavour in there as well. You've got a really nice kind of herbaceous quality that's opening up. The peat for me on the palate is more akin to Highland peat, which tends to be more herbaceous and more sort of earthy and a little bit spicier compared to, say, your Islay peat, which is generally more iodine led and gives it that kind of medicinal quality. bit of green apple. It starts to freshen up a little bit. Again, there's sort of a nice salinity. I can almost, the reason I'm licking my lips is I can almost get sort of like salt crystals on my lips. It is quite salty, but it's really, really pleasant. The finish, very sweet. Got a nice kind of heat, a little bit of spice. Overall, a really, really nice drop. It is genuinely a really nice drop. In fact, before I finish, in that finish, if you ever put, as a kid, if you put like copper coins in your mouth, it's kind of like, it's really kind of coppery flavour going on. Really, really pleasant. And it's just a ticket for the kind of night it is. It's warming, it's welcoming, it's like walking into an old pub. A lot of wood, a lot of kind of oils, a lot of coal, a lot of just dirtiness. Love it. I love it. Now, I said that, you know, I've obviously got the 10-year-old, the 18-year-old, a couple of independent bottlings. I will be investigating more independent bottlings for you guys on the channel because a couple of people have commented saying I've not really reviewed any, and that's fair enough. So I will be doing like a little series on indies, including one video where I'm just going to go through a few of my favourites in terms of the actual bottlers themselves rather than the whiskies. And I will, in that review, be touching in a little bit more detail on value. And value is just one thing that I wanted to kind of finish with, just to give you a bit of thinking and a bit of discussion. Because, I mean, whilst I'm sat here with a 39-year-old, God, imagine if I sat here with a 39-year-old Ledaig, a £39 10-year-old whiskey, and I've got the 18-year-old that I think set me back about 75 quid on sale, which isn't cheap. It's a lot of money. There's been an increased amount of releases in 2020, I've found. I think, you know, distilleries are feeling the lack of visitation at distillery centres, and I think there's a bit of pressure on to release things while people are still in kind of a captive audience on social media and at home. And I've certainly noticed a lot more releases this year. Whether or not that's just my interpretation, I'm not sure. But what I have noticed is certain companies and things like that, I'm going to bring Distel into this, to be fair. And I am a big Distel fan. Deanston's probably one of my favourite distilleries. I love James Sedgwick, love Ledaig and Tobermory. But, you know, there's been a few releases recently, including the 23-year-old, for example, on their stable. Not to single them out, but I think the RRP was just shy of £300. £300 for a 23-year-old whiskey. And I struggle to get my head around it when you can get, by comparison, such good value from independent bottlers. All right, the cask makeup might not be the same. And okay, single cask, if it is single cask from the independent bottler, it can be variable. But £300 is a lot of money for anything, really. So I think the key at the minute is finding value. Money's tight. People are being furloughed. The economy's been hit really hard. Look out for the little gems. Look out for clever little purchases to spend your money on. Don't buy into the hype of official releases and things like that in terms of like all the branding and the story about hand-selected casks, only the finest oak and all that kind of carry on. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm part of the problem. I'm talking about hype. I'm not exactly hype, am I? But, you know, I mean, I'm talking to you guys about whiskey. So, to be clear, under no circumstances take my word as gospel, because it is not that. It is not gospel, guys, by any stretch. And I would never, you know, say that. God, hell no. There's a lot of people that know a lot more than me. But look after yourselves. You know, look after you and yours. Don't buy into all this stuff. Don't feel like you have to chase down every bottle that comes out. And I say that, and the reason I'm saying this is because I kind of fell foul of it myself. I got a little bit trigger happy, and I was having 4 bottles delivered every day, and now I've got more whiskey than I know what to do with. And it sounds like I'm showing off. I'm not. It's actually a bit annoying, because I'm never going to drink them all. unless I'm going to be on first name terms with my local hospital. So yeah, bear that in mind. Don't buy 4 whiskies every day. Look out for the bargains and basically look out for quality and value. So guys, after that little ramble, thank you very much for watching. I'm going to box it off now. See you soon.